Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another Daily Marvel Snap video. So today we have a good old Moon Girl Double Down, and this has been changed quite a bit. There's been several versions of this. The Goose I do feel like is a good addition. It allows you some flexibility. Most of your cards are going to be able to be played into that location, and hopefully it adds some disruption for your opponent. The Miles Morales is something that is just recently being added back in, and we have a couple of ways to enable it. If we are going with the Moon Girl double down on the She-Hulk and then skip 1-5, we're going to want to enable the Miles with a Nightcrawler. There's some locations that do help enable the Miles Morales as well, but for things we can rely on would be the Nightcrawler. If we're not doubling down and leaning on the She-Hulk on turn 6, then we can use our Polaris on turn 5 to reposition some of the opponent's cards, and it enables our Miles Morales to be the one-cost unit that it is, which is essentially just going to be another way to cheat a Titania onto the board. And so if we happen to have both Titania and Miles and She-Hulk, and we've doubled down on all of them, then we can explode a ridiculous amount of power out onto the board and swing a lot of games in our favor that the opponent is not going to be anticipating. Now, as far as how to counter some of the stronger meta decks, we have Galactus, which is something like 10 to 12% of the overall meta. To block that, we have a couple of cards. We have Goose, which if we use that on the turn that they use Galactus, all of a sudden they can only put low cost resources into that lane, making their last couple of turns a lot more restrictive. We have Cosmo to completely block the Galactus from coming down altogether, and then we have Polaris to pull a card over into the Galactus lane so that it does not successfully trigger. All of those are fantastic ways to beat that matchup, and then I could go into the specifics of other ones, but overall, this deck is fairly flexible, and it does what it wants to do pretty well, and it just floods that power onto the board. It doesn't lean all the way into Hitmonkey. A lot of times Hitmonkey is a little bit too greedy, so then if you happen to get hit with a Sandman, then you're really stuck in a position where you don't have that adaptability to still find a way to win, because you're leaning so heavily onto having Hitmonkey be that pretty big resource or unit that you would want. We have the Scarlet Witch to change those unadvantageous locations, whether it be Bar with No Name, whether it be Death's Domain, Altar of Death, Limbo. You have a lot of uses for the Scarlet Witch, and she's more of a tech slot, a flex spot. You don't have to have it, but she is good to have included. And now that Shuri is not as potent or as strong, we can get away with not having Shang-Chi in every single deck that we run, and so we have dropped it for a little bit more consistency of being able to control what's in our hand whenever Moon Girl does come down. And so overall, I've been having a fantastic time with this list. It does well into just about everything that I'm matching into. And with the explanation out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, next up we have Muxa Mickey Mouse. I'm not proud of it, guys. I have a 2-year-old. It's a hot dog. It's stuck in my head. It stays there. That's where it permanently lives, is my head. All right, let's go ahead and play our Nightcrawler. I don't want to double down on it no matter what. The Miles Morales, however, we definitely want to. The Iceman hits our Polaris, which does disrupt our turn 5 drop. Turns out I probably should have copied it. It is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and skip on turn 2. They play a Zabu. Iceman into Zabu. All right. Ooh, Project Pegasus is big. Okay, so we could do Polaris to pull the Iceman. Moon Girl to double down on our Miles. We can play 2 Miles next turn. I think this is fine, right? Yeah, it's fine. This is fine. Everything's fine. They snapped on us, which is definitely not fine. But we are going to pull their Iceman out of the big house. Oh, the Wong. Excuse me, I was Wong all along. They have, wow, the double white tiger is big. Plus they get a copy of it. Huge. Can we overcome that? I think we can. We didn't really want to double down on our Moon Girl because we did still want the chance to draw into like a She-Hulk or Cosmo or any... Wait! Only 1 Miles is cheap? That's rude. All right. We're gonna go ahead and send it. We're gonna pop a Titania over onto their side of the board. We're not gonna move our Nightcrawler this turn. We're gonna slap a Goose in the right lane. and we're gonna try to block out their cloning vats. We could have blocked their Project Pegasus lane. What are we doing? We do block their cloning vats though, which is huge. After freaking out a little bit, we did what we wanted to do. So we can now recall this whenever we want, which is massive. And then we draw the Shulk. The Shulk. The ever great Shulky Shulk. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move our Nightcrawler. Next turn, we can just flood. We have so much stuff that we can do. As long as we play one card in the cloning vats, we'll get that titanium back. And they could do their White Tiger here. They can't do a Wong here. They made the Wong decision playing the Wong on turn 4. We're going to go ahead and skip. We've drawn it out long enough. We're going to go ahead and skip here. Our Miles is going to be okay. Ooh, this was a 3 cost. Nothing more, nothing less, which is big. Okay, impressive. We go last, so it doesn't matter where we play our Titania, because there's no chance that it jumps over to their side of the board. We know that they can't do White Tiger here, so I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they play here. But I'm excited to find out. Let's play the Miles Morales. That'll bounce this back. This is a respectable amount of power. If this is just a diversion and they just play for this lane, then we're okay here as well. Let's lock it in. Let's lock it in and see. That is a lot of cards. Okay, so the Rocket Raccoon is a double trigger in mid. That's actually pretty big. Kind of scary. I didn't put them on a Rocket Raccoon by any means. And then the Korg, the double Korg, that's fine. I think we win the right lane, but that was very scary with how much they pumped into that middle location. We lose it by only 5, which is, wow. All right, we will take the 4 cubes where we can. We lost this one by 5. Had they not had the Rocket Raccoon and it was just like the 2 power, then we would have lost this one by 1 still, but a pretty big swing. I wasn't expecting the full on reveal package. It's kind of like a blast from the past. Let's go ahead and take the 4 cubes and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Safety Blade, and Safety Blade is rocking the Kitty Pryde avatar in good spirits. The first location is the Lechugia. One thing I can say for sure about Safety Blade is I never know what he's running. He's kind of like me in that he switches up so often that it's hard to pinpoint exactly what he's going to be running. Typically we want to skip on turn 5 anyways, especially with the She-Hulk, so I'm going to change the Lechugia instead of Dream Dimension. We're going to let him suffer in silence with the Dream Dimension, and while we play for the other 2 lanes. Next turn, I think we're going to go with an Armor and a Sunspot. Ooh, drops Jeff. Could be a Cerebro 3. Could be a Professor X lock. A couple of things that it could be. We can actually pull Jeff with the Polaris, which I think would be very satisfying to do. Let's go ahead and do the Armor, the Sunspot. We don't have Nightcrawler. We don't have Moon Girl to double down on any of our cards, and so we'll just have to kind of play it by ear. Ideally, we're going to be skipping on the last turn, even if we don't get Moon Girl. If we skip on turn 5, we can really enable a Titania, She-Hulk, a Miles, and then something else small, which would be pretty formidable. The Green Goblin, he wouldn't. He's not running Galactus, is he? The Green Goblin took me off guard. If we play Moon Girl, we have 5, it's going to be 6 and 7, so we will get a second She-Hulk. We're going to try it, and we're going to play Moon Girl into Hell's Kitchen. Normally I wouldn't, but I'm afraid, oh no, I was afraid of the Professor X lock, though. So the Titania, the Polaris, okay, so is this a Professor X lock junk version of Jeff? I want to skip here so that we can play our She-Hulks, but... oh wait, no, they can't Professor X. Okay, with Dream Dimension, they can't use Professor X this turn. Let's go ahead and skip. We have Polaris, which we could try to use to angle to pull Titania out of this lane. Maybe we find a way to win, but most likely, or more than likely, we're just going to lean in with what we have. So let's go ahead and skip here. We'll soak with the Sunspot. Killmonger, okay. Killmonger's big. With the Titania, though, it's kind of surprising. What kind of deck are you running, my good sir? We didn't move a card, so our Miles Morales is still expensive. So this would have to be enough. Is this enough? I don't know. It depends on what and where they play. This is quite a bit of power for the last turn. It's 18. It's 28. Massive amounts of power. We're gonna play Polaris into mid so that right now the only target is Titania. If we can lock that down, that'd be beautiful. But we'll see. We'll see if we can lock that down. Because if I'm Safety Blade, I'm not playing for Hell's Kitchen here. Okay, so Sentry. Oh, Sentry plus Viper. Oh, on turn 6. Oh, he went with the gamble, and it sends the Killmonger, so he loses the right lane. We get the pull with Polaris. We're actually going to swing all 3 locations here, which is absolutely nuts. What a finisher. We will take the 4 cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Kamad. Kamad? I don't know. We're going to play our Sunspot to the left. That way we can just start soaking. Ooh, the Korg. It's either, it could be a bounce deck. It could be just a Hawk deck. There's several things that it could be with just that one card alone. Let's go ahead and play Goose into mid as we get a better read on what kind of deck the opponent's running. If they stack the Shadowland location, then we... Ooh, wait. Oh, wait. The Adam Warlock? Every time I see Adam Warlock, it's so wild. Like, it just doesn't belong there. How do we win? What are they running even? If they have Zabu, then they can bypass our Goose. Mirror Dimension might turn into the second Nexus, which is also kind of scary. Let's go ahead and just play for mid this turn, and we'll kind of play it by ear from there. Ironheart. So it's a negative deck. Okay, that makes more sense. It's a Mr. Negative deck, which they haven't played Mr. Negative yet. Oof. The second Nexus is also just not great. Okay, how do we want to play this? Let's Moon Girl. We'll double down on Miles, double down on Titania. We can use Polaris on turn 5. Since we don't have She-Hulk, we don't necessarily need to skip. And then we're just kind of flooding from there. It's such a... The double Nexus game is so wild. So wild. All right, let's play the Polaris. We'll move one of their resources out of this lane. It's not huge for us. I don't know. This is such a strange game. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go ahead and save the Nightcrawler for the last turn, just as that little bit of extra like surprise. And so, okay, so we do hit their their ninja, which is big. The Hawk comes down in the right lane. I think we can outpower it. If they have an Iron Man, though, inverted Iron Man is huge. But otherwise, I think we're okay. We do get the 1 cube retreat. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Seabob, and they did a fist bump. We'll see if their play looks bot-like or not. We get armor. We had the Scarlet Witch, which we could use into Death's Domain, which I'm kind of considering. We could do that. We could then do Cosmo. We can do Moon Girl over to the left. That allows us on the last turn to do Scarlet Witch, double Titania. And I think it guarantees that we get the advantage in this location versus what they would. And so that's what we're going to do. I like the idea of armor here just to allow us that additional space to play, but I'd rather, if we can get the one-sided advantage over them, that is what we want to do. So we're going to go ahead and double down with the Cosmo to the right. We have Moon Girl, which Crimson Cosmos is probably our loss lane, just because we're not really going to be putting very many cards or very many stats into that location. So they did drop a Sunspot. That's okay. We don't necessarily need it. Let's go ahead and double down with the Moon Girl. We're going to have a lot that we can lean in with. The Jubilee is big. What do they pull with the Jubilee here? The Ant-Man is unfortunately not as, I'm sure not as big as what they would have liked to see there. So far we've seen Ant-Man, Sunspot, and Jubilee. I don't know what deck this is, but I think we're comfortable. I think we're comfortable enough that we could snap. Magic, wow. Okay. Wait, we can, okay. Hear me out. Hear me out, guys. We do Scarlet Witch here, and then just slap a She-Hulk and a She-Hulk. I don't think they play into Death's Domain because they assume that they can't play there. I think by changing the Limbo location in the left and then dropping a surprise She-Hulk in the left and the right, we should be able to swing one of those locations. Turns out the double Scarlet Witch is actually going to, I think, work out in our favor. They play one card in Death's Domain, so they're actually going to be able to get that card there. They probably win that middle. Bar Sinister is wild. What do they drop there? Okay, okay. This gamer is super, super negative right now. Probably the most negative gamer I've ever seen. They played Mr. Negative, so even if this had not been Bar Sinister, we were able to swing this one away just by capping everything in the middle location. So because of the magic, we actually probably swindled one additional cube off of them because they were anticipating it going one extra turn, so they were just going to be able to see what they got. And we will absolutely take the 2 cubes where we can. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Cats. We do have Titania, we have Moon Girl. Goose is also pretty decent for us. Hellfire Club is actually not. Hellfire Club is pretty bad. It's really bad for us. We can drop the Moon Girl, but if we double down and get a 1-cost She-Hulk, the Miles Morales is going to be 1 cost. Just makes it overall fairly difficult to navigate. Ooh, the last location could turn into another Hellfire Club. That's kind of scary. Let's go ahead and play the Cosmo in the left lane just in case they're wanting to do a Viper or they're wanting to do a Carnage. We're going to lock this into the left lane. The Demon, no, they're wanting to do a bounce. But I'm sorry, my friend. You are not able to bounce those cards. This is going to be strange, but let's do the Moon Girl. We're going to double down on Titania, Armor, and Scarlet Witch. We will be able to change these 2 locations on turn 5. And so we'll be able to play our 1-cost cards there. They played a Sunspot that they're, I guess, planning on soaking from here on out. Let's do a double change, and we'll see. We'll see. We're also going to go ahead and just play our Titania because we have the extra energy. There's no reason to hold it or not to. We do have Nightcrawler, which we can move out of the left lane if it looks like we are going to have a pretty sizable lead, or if we need to play additional resources into the location. And so Crimson Cosmos is the opposite of what we wanted. That's actually actively pretty bad. It's very, very bad. Because now only high-cost cards can go over there. It's really bad. That's not what we want to see. Okay. All right. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine, actually. We can move the Nightcrawler here. If they have Chavez, then they have to play it in one of these locations, and that's fine. Let's do another Titania, and then we're just gonna fill up this location for no reason at all. Because they're gonna have to play for both of these, or skip and soak. I think we're fine. This was a super weird play. We probably don't need the Sunspot. It's just for Flourish, and the extra 5 from Titania may be more than we need. But if they fully skip and soak, then we win these 2. All right, we do force the retreat.